Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, giving you a brief update as to what has been going on most recently with BTC and what I think is likely to happen next. There's a fair few things that we need to probably talk about in terms of the price action on the charts, but also what is going on with the on-chain metrics. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then subscribe and stay up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Join us down in Discord, links in the description below. Let's get it. Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the hourly chart. Binance is our data source here. And, you know, for the most part, this weekend is going to be very, very important. I'm expecting some kind of volatile movements, but nothing too major, but a big reset on the momentum. So I do think that we're going to start seeing a lot more kind of the fallout of the FTX kind of saga and everything else that's kind of associated with crypto exchanges and so forth. Okay, we've also got stable coins to also be considering as well. So in the case of Bitcoin here, there could be a bit of an impact to selling pressure, or for selling pressure to really intensify. So we want to be a little bit cautious, right? So as I come and bring up our stochastic RSIs here, one of the things that we need to be blissfully aware of is on the bigger macro time frames, such as the weekly, we are of course overbought. Now the monthly's been oversold for a while, and you know it's pretty reasonable. We can be down there for a while. It doesn't really have to move up anytime soon. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a big reset for some bullish action. But for that to happen, I really need to see that weekly time frame come down to the oversold area, line up with our monthly, so we can start thinking about what's next in the case of crypto. Now, the daily is oversold, and again, we can be down there for a little bit longer. And really, the key areas I'm looking at are more on the smaller time frames at this point in time. The 8-hour, the 4-hour, and the 1-hour charts, they're actually progressing at an interesting rate. Here on the hourly chart, you can see that we're just coming down from this overbought area, the little bit of red just inside the price chart. If we come over to the 4-hour, you can see that we're just coming down as well. So we've still got some progression here to the upside. We were up nice and high up here. We've come down, and we haven't really affected this stochastic RSI. This basically is a pretty bearish sign, and we should be a little bit cautious at this point because we've got quite a way to potentially fall in order to correct these, specifically if there isn't much buying pressure, which simply put there isn't. A lot of people have been kind of shaken by the recent kind of action. They've kind of withdrawn from exchanges, and they continue to do this, have that kind of exchange run, a little bit like a bank run but for crypto, and basically pulling off and basically looking at hardware wallets and cold storage. If anyone who hasn't yet done that, links in the description below for Ledger. Get yourself a hardware wallet, get off those exchanges. So essentially what we're doing is we're seeing a lot more of that self-custody as people are getting nervous around the exchanges, and that doesn't really increase any kind of ideas of buying, right? We're not really seeing that volume spike up for purchases. So right now we should be a little bit cautious, and this is why we're seeing this really slow-moving stochastic RSI. Okay, so we want to be a little bit cautious at this point. You can also see how choppy this is as well. We're not straight lines like we were previously. You're very, very bouncy, and it's not very clear exactly what is going on. So we need to be super, super cautious. Okay, so you know, I probably wouldn't want to be trading this market right now. Okay, this can go in multiple different directions, right? We can go up, we can go down, and we could just range sideways for a big period of time here. So trading is going to be incredibly tough. So not something that I'm going to be doing myself. It's not something I think is a wise idea. You really should be picking and choosing when the right time is to trade and when the wrong time to trade is. And right now, it does not feel like a good time to be trading. So I'm kind of waiting to see how things go. I mean, ultimately, I look at this and I think we should be going down. However, we've still got some momentum to the upside on our 4-hour chart. So I'm not thinking that we're there yet. I'm not thinking that we can really go into these kind of movements. And equally at the same time, because that 8-hour chart isn't there, we could move up, right? We could get some resets on these 1 and 4-hour charts and then just progress up to our supply zone area here, or maybe even a little bit higher. So the market's very, very difficult to read, and we want to be really, really cautious at this particular time. Looking at it, I would say that you've kind of got these kind of resets going on right in here. We're just ranging now sideways a little bit over this weekend as volumes drop right the way back down again. So we want to be very, really cautious here. I don't know what the next move is. If I'm being truthfully 100% honest with you guys, we can go up or we can go down. It's very, very difficult to know exactly which way that's going to go. So like I say, you've got to be patient at times. You've got to let this thing kind of ride out and let it do what it needs to do. Now, as I kind of bring up some of the other stats, we can see that we have had more Bitcoin leaving those exchanges. There's been a run on the exchanges, basically can't get the crypto off fast enough, essentially, right? So that's why we're seeing this green line above this red line. It's cooled off a little bit here, but I think this is going to intensify into next week as well. So just be a little bit cautious. I don't think this is a positive, although it would look, and something that we've been talking about for a while, like it should be a positive, as in there's more demand than the supply can handle, but actually it's just sucking up and taking out all that Bitcoin from the exchanges. Now, as we kind of take a look at the wallets, we can kind of come into a lot of these others, and we can kind of take stock of the situation here, right? So as we kind of get into this, we can see that there's a lot of retail money has been, or retail Bitcoin's been coming off the exchanges and it's been going into additional wallets. So we have gone up from this low of a 910,000 wallets to 926,000 wallets during this most recent volatile moment. You can also see here with the high net worth individuals also a big uptick in basically getting your crypto off the exchanges, and there's an increase in the external wallet counts that you see here that are being reflected by that particular action and thought process. As we go into the larger size wallets, you also see very similar things from the 100 Bitcoin size wallets, the sharks. These are, again, your traders. They would have had a lot of Bitcoin on the exchanges, so they've actually been increasing their wallets from down here at 15,777 up to 15,870. So over 100 wallets increase here over the last few days. The whales, not so much. They already did this. They front run this. Essentially, what you can see here is the price and the wallet counts on the 1,000 Bitcoin side of things going down together. But you can see, of course, the Kraken, which is your cold storage, in my opinion, for these whales, has been going up. And it did this before you saw that price volatility. So you can see that big money was aware of the issues at FTX and Alameda and all that kind of stuff, and by the looks of it, just looking at these way these were operating, it makes it a little bit clearer that maybe they were ahead of the curve on that one there, and they were basically looking at coming off the exchanges earlier. So again, this isn't anything unusual. If I actually take a look at the whales in 2022, you can see that they've been coming off of the exchanges and putting things into cold storage pretty much from that 48k level when we were in March, basically towards the end of March, 21st of March. You can really see these wallets really coming down quite a bit then. And this was basically one of the things that we were talking about at the time, where we could see that there was going to be a pivotal moment where the price of Bitcoin, it was going to reach about 47.5. I think we got to 48. And then you had to make a decision. You had to come off or hodl for this bear market. And unfortunately, what we're looking at here is actually a really interesting kind of tell, and specifically in terms of this price action, when we kind of start thinking about where we were in 2018 and where we are right now. One of the things I do want to kind of highlight here is that we might be getting really close to the moment that I've been waiting for a very long time. We might be having to wait a lot longer. We don't know just yet. It's a bit too soon to be really, really sure of it. But this particular graph is interesting to me, specifically because we have this flat period just down here, this kind of sideways trading, pretty much from the lows of June over to where we are now. We're going down into new lower lows at this particular point, right? But we aren't seeing these whales accumulating during this particular flat period. Now, why is this important? Well, this is important because if we take a look at this particular flat period over here in 2018, it's a very similar situation. We have a low point and then we go sideways before we break on down. Now, before this flat period, we actually saw these whales accumulating. We haven't seen that just yet. Okay, so I wanted to keep that in the back of our heads, and we can obviously see that these guys, they accumulate and then they eventually do drop this down. We could be on several different areas on this journey. We could be in this flat period in 2022, at least the equivalent of it, and before all of this action taking us down into those lows, or we could be a little bit earlier in the journey and we just can't see exactly what is going on at this particular moment. So one of those things that we need to be super, super cautious on right now is understanding that, yes, the shrimps haven't been shaken out, not in the same way that they were previously. We're waiting for this kind of moment where they're getting sold. They're going to sell their Bitcoin at a cheaper rate to the whales. That hasn't happened. So I do think that's going to happen at some point in the near future. One of the things that's just not clear is whether or not we have to go down, to 10K or lower, or whether or not our monthly timeframes are going to hold, and we're going to be, looking at these prices at, $13,000, maybe $12,000 Bitcoin, right? So there's a lot of structure here that's yet to kind of emerge. So just be patient as time progresses, and as things start to unravel even more, we'll get a bit more of a clearer picture as to exactly what is going on when it comes to BTC. At the moment, we're hovering right around this area of previous demand. So that basically is 16,300 to 16,700, but I'm not confident in that holding. If we are going to get a rally, I'm expecting us to move up towards the $18,500 range, but it has to push past this supply range here as well, which would be a little bit short of that, around the 17,700 to 18,200. So there's a little bit of a pocket here. If we do break past it, then that's going to potentially be okay. But I'm not thinking this is going to be a long-term kind of good run to the upside. If anything, if we're lucky enough, it will just be sideways trading, but for that, I think is incredibly unlikely. I would expect further downside, heading down towards the kind of $13,000 to $14,000 level. I think that is probably where the next load of demand would potentially come in for BTC. So just kind of be patient with this. Time is going to unravel what is going on with all of the different external companies from FTX and Alameda research, and who's going to be forced into selling BTC with liquidations and Chapter 11s and all that kind of stuff. So do watch this space. It's going to get very, very brutal at times, so make sure you're staying up to date with absolutely everything. Join us in the Discord. It is the centralized hub of everything cheeky crypto, where we look out for our community. Guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you found it useful, smash that like button. Informative, then why not subscribe as well. Guys, until the next one, have a fantastic day.